What is going on, YouTube? It's time to play in the shop some more with the race car. You getting that updated? How many days we got?
118.
We're down to 118. So now what I'm going to need you to do real quick is I'm going to need you to read what's on my shirt, right? Particularly that last line, that part down there. But I can't fix stupid. That is the theme for today. Now, not that some of the YouTube critics that have commented on the channel haven't been, well, qualified as that last word in there, but this time it was me. I made the mistake. And for everybody's information, I caught the mistake long before this video ever hit YouTube. I realized what happened. But I'm going to post it in that video anyways, and we'll find out if anybody else happens to catch the mistake that I made. But yeah, so that's the thing. You just can't fix stupid sometimes. So what I've got to do today is, well, I got to fix that mistake. Long story short, the front axle, when it got put in here, down under there, and I positioned it, and I took my little angle finder, and I figured out, the angle that we needed the kingpins at, and
welded it, and hit it to make sure the weld stuck. Yeah.
So, but when I did all that, the spindles were upside down. So now I got to,
fix stupid.
Got to fix the oversight. So we're going to take the spindles apart, and if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to measure it just to make sure, but the sleeves at the end of the axles for the kingpin should be in square to the tube, to the axle tube, which means I don't actually have to pull the whole axle and grind the welds out. I just have to, take the spindle apart, flip it over, and put it back on. So.
Yeah, you make it sound so easy.
It is. It's just a couple of clips, and it just bloop, falls out, and then we put it back in. Whoop, clip it back together, and you're done. That's simple. So that's the plan for today. We're going to do that, and then there's one other thing on here I'll give you a quick look at that we'll be working on addressing today. And turns out it's not an uncommon issue on these Speedway front ends, but the leaf spring, if you take a closer look, and maybe I'll zoom it in on the editing, but right now there's no motor in the car. You see, nothing here, which means there's almost zero weight on the front of this car. And the shackle is so short right here that the leaf spring is already binding out against the frame rail, which means that there's no travel left in this front end for even any more weight to be put on it, much less actual suspension travel. So I'm going to take and make my own shackles that will extend this. I don't know what it's going to need to be in the long run. So what I'm going to start with a shackle that's 1 inch longer than what's on here, see where we end up with that, and then probably have to adjust a little further, maybe. I don't know, we'll have to see what it does. I don't know what it's actually going to need, but the shackles, that's a pretty easy thing. We're just going to use some flat bar, some 3/16 flat bar. We'll do that. So that's the two things we got to address today. We got to fix stupid, and then see if we can't make this setup work with the leaf springs before we even try and put any weight on it, because, well, it's not going to work the way it is. And it's a little warm, so I don't know how much of this will actually get filmed during the working time versus just updates while we're working, because it's hot and sticky in the shop, which means the camera is not going to be a happy camper. So we got to get sheet metal off. Fenders, core support, get those back out of the way, and then we'll be able to start messing with this other bits. You ready? That's a whole lot of energy coming out of you right there.
Can't fix stupid.
See, she's so helpful. Sorry, one more time.
Shut up.
Well, show us how it's done.
Tightening it. Your turn.
All right. So before we go over to the other side, this out of the way. So if you've never come around this way a little bit, so you can see. Actually, I need to turn the fan a little bit. Not blowing right where the microphone is. There we go. If you've never worked with spindles before on a straight axle, this right here is basically a thrust bearing that carries the weight of the vehicle on the front end, and it's supposed to be on the bottom side, not the top.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's why I screwed up. So that would also be, if you watched the last video where we did all this work and I put this in here, and then I don't know if it was in the video or not when we put the steering arms on, but the steering arms right now are backwards. The one that has two holes is supposed to be on the right hand side of the car, so that the drag link that comes off the steering gearbox, which will be right here, goes across the chassis over to the right side and makes it longer, reduces bump steer. Well, for whatever, I couldn't get this steering arm to fit over on the other side because, well, it just wouldn't clear. It wouldn't bolt up right, and that's because the spindles are upside down, I think. Now, until we get the spindles flipped over and then we try and put these arms back on again, I won't know for sure if it's an issue with these arms not being right for these spindles, or if it's just because you can't fix stupid and I went stupid. Yeah, so a couple more minutes, we'll get the spindles taken apart, and then we'll be able to flip them over and put it back together. So on the on the upside, it might be hot out, but the concrete is nice and cool, so it's not so bad laying down here trying to actually work on this thing. Anyway, what I'm trying to do at the moment is get a snap ring out from underneath here that holds the pin, the kingpin in, and this one's being extremely stubborn. We did already do the other side, so I know that this is the right way to do it, but this one's being stubborn. Oh, come on. I'll get it. I will. There it is. Grease cap, snap ring. Yeah. All right. And then all we'll do is drop the kingpin out. I guess I should pull the set screw too. So these axles have, oh man, this one was loose. It's a good thing we had to actually address this because the set screws were loose on both of them. A set screw that goes into the side of the kingpin to help secure it. It's not just secured by a snap ring. But then you just drop this out. There we go. That's the kingpin. And what's you may notice that it looks like there's a Sharpie mark on there. That Sharpie mark is aligned with the flat spot for the set screw, and it was on the bottom. That should have been an indicator to me when I was checking the angle of this, that I had this all upside down because the markings were on the wrong side. But Yeah. You can't fix stupid. So, and just take this guy and slide it off. Keep our shimming because the shims were good. And then set our thrust bearing. And this flips over. Not exactly a one-man thing. A two-person makes this easier, but the wife is filming at the moment, so I'm gonna struggle. There we go. All right. Get my set screw alignment.
Hang on.
Nope, you're good. Oh, you gonna put it on the tripod? So you can tap it down. There.
Got that part?
I think so. Maybe. Slide in. Come on. Oh, there it goes.
No, but you have to grab that side while I slide it in.
It's almost there. Okay. But you probably will have to tap that down so you can keep everything aligned. Not in alignment. So this is probably a lot easier without the rotor on, to be honest. All right, start working it down. See if we can get there.
Is that aligned correctly?
Yeah. Okay. Work it, work it, work it. Work it, work it, work it, work it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah. Work it. Ah, good. Wait. Okay, hold on. All right, now I gotta put the snap ring back in. And one other thing that I noticed in the process of doing this was, so this, as I probably mentioned before, but I got this straight axle kit secondhand at a swap meet. And in the process of having to fix this, I've discovered that the dust cap and snap ring for the spindles was missing on one side for both sides. So I'm gonna have to get more of those. You know, just more of the little stuff. Just not something you can, well, the snap ring I can get just about anywhere, but the dust cap, I may have to make it. All right, keep working it down. Don't get my fingers.
Give me that. Can't do anything.
Okay. Nicely done.
Just gotta love stupid.
That's not right though. Something's not right. The flat's not right there.
I told you to line it up.
It was, but it must not be.
You
Oh,
did-
you know what? It's probably not centered vertically. It's too low. The pin's got to go in 180 degrees.
You are.
All right, well, now the pin's got to come back out. So anyway, we're going to repeat that process all over again. Oh, we're filming more?
Well, tell them what you figured out.
Well, I figured out that the part's made wrong. So the pin like I had mentioned before, the kingpin's got a flat spot on it for that set screw. The flat spot's just in the wrong spot. Vertically, it doesn't line up with where the hole is for the set screw. So we're not going to worry about that for now. I put the set screw in against the round part of the shaft, and we're going to send it. Sometime in the future when we inevitably redo this again, which will probably happen, let's be real, because I'm still heavily leaning towards a drop axle for this car, which would mean rebuilding the spindles onto a different axle. So we'll worry about it then. On the other hand, our steering. So previously, if these arms were upside down, this would have been trying to go on this way. If you imagine this flipped over, and it couldn't align the holes because it was hitting the axle tube, and that was because, you know, all this was flipped over, and that was what was causing a problem with this one going on the other side. Now with all of this flipped over and put in correctly, this arm can go on this side the way it's supposed to. If I can get my fingers in here, which is going to allow us to actually connect the steering the right way. In theory, so far so good. And it will answer it was actually these arms, trying to figure out if I ordered the wrong arms or not, that led me down the path of realizing I had the spindles upside down, because I thought that I ordered the right arms, and then when I looked up what I ordered, it says that they were for a cross steer setup for Chevy spindles, which that's exactly what, 48 to 54, 49 to 54, whatever. These spindles, the cross steer arms for these Chevy spindles. So there was no reason they shouldn't have bolted right up, and they weren't. So I went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure that out, and that's how I discovered the spindles were wrong. You know, it's one of those things where if you haven't done it before, you might not know what you're looking at, and I haven't really done much of anything with the straight axle stuff, so yeah, I looked right at it and should have known but didn't. Anyway, we've got that fixed. Now I just got to get this arm installed over there. It'll install the same way on the other side, and then the steering bar will go in the way it's supposed to.
No way, what?
That's not right. It's still not right. So all right. You can't fix stupid.
You're wearing the perfect shirt for the
I am. So we're going to get lots of practice with this spindle stuff, because the spindle itself wasn't upside down. The thrust bearing was just in the wrong position. Because now that we flipped the spindle, if we let's see, yep, it'll work. So if you put this guy like this, you'll have to come around this way. You can see where it's reading. That's a 88. That's kind of a weird. All right, so it's reading. We got about 1.5 degrees of angle in the shop. But if I put this down here on the caliper, I've got 9 degrees, almost 10 degrees of, what is that? That's camber. Yeah, camber. That's bad. You don't want that, and that's because it's not put together right. It's just not. I'm fairly certain that the spindle wasn't upside down. The thrust bearing was just in the wrong position. So yeah, we gotta repeat that whole exercise again.
Oh my gosh.
How do you get good at doing something? You do it over and over and over and over and over. It's just, it's the only way to get good
Oh
at
my
something. So we're
God.
trying to get good at this. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you know, so this is how things are going. Again, you know, I can't think stupid. Oh, we're rolling? We're rolling. So, spindle situation has been resolved, and I know the evidence is it's only true if I show you, right? So, again, you know, 1.7 right there, and then if I come down here and on the face of the rotor, 2.1. So, you know, the 1 degree of camber or half degree of camber, whatever it ends up being, that's much more appropriate than that 10 degrees we had before, and that was because the spindles were upside down. I thought they were upside down before, but the thrust bushing or bearing was just in the wrong spot. So when I flipped them to correct that, because I thought the axle had been put in upside down, I actually fixed one problem by creating another one. But that's fixed. We are no longer dealing with that issue. And the steering arms are installed the way they're supposed to be installed, and everything's happy there. Next, we're going to address the shackles. So I already pulled this one off of the other side, and like I showed at the beginning of the video, as soon as I actually put the weight of the car, right now it's on jack stands, but as soon as I just put the weight of the car, no drivetrain or anything, the spring collapses enough that it takes the eye of the spring and puts it up against the frame right here. And with that up against the frame, you no longer have any more spring travel, because leaf springs, as they flatten out, they get longer. So that basically is bottoming out. So the plan is going to be, I'm going to take, and in place of this little guy that is, you know, that piece right there, the shackle, I'm going to use some flat stock and make one just like it that's an inch longer. And we're going to add an inch to this and see what that does with our suspension. I've got 4 feet of this, and I only need 4 pieces like this, except an inch longer, which means I can screw it up probably at least 5 times before I run out of material. And so hopefully we don't have to do it that many times, but that's what we're going to do. And hopefully that'll resolve our leaf spring bottoming out issue. Like I said, I did a little bit of research. This seems to be a common problem that people run into with this Chevy 2 gasser conversion setup from Speedway. I'm not sure why it's an issue, and since I got this secondhand, I'm not going to harass Speedway about it. There is the possibility that this shackle kit wasn't the one that was originally part of this subframe, even though I have seen the issue reported by others. Whatever, it's not that much to make new shackles. So we'll see what we can do, cut up some flat stock and make some replacements. But that's the update for now. On a slightly different note, if this video randomly cuts to us beelining, me and the wife beelining for our storm shelter and hooting and hollering and chasing our animals through the house, well, that's because there's a tornado. So, you know, there's the chance that could happen. This is Oklahoma. They're watching a bunch of storms right now. Our whole area is under tornado watch. Is it watch?
Tornado warning.
Oh, we're warning right now. Are you sure it's warning? I thought it's watch. Hold on, she's gonna look. Whatever it is, there's 2 levels of notices for tornadoes. One of them just means that the storm systems that are coming through have the potential to create tornadoes. What is it?
We're on a watch.
Oh, watch, yeah. So we're on tornado watch. Our whole area is. If that goes to tornado warning, that means that they think there's a tornado probably headed right towards us. If that's over our area. So we're going to be watching that, paying attention to the weather. And if it gets dicey, trust me, I'll turn the camera on as we're going crazy and
Running amok.
Hopefully we don't lose the race car to a tornado, because that'll really throw off going to No Name Nationals in 118 days. But yeah, so I'm gonna get to work making some shackles.
What you doing over here?
Well, right at the moment, we're getting pieces of metal marked so I can drill them to make the new shackle. Right there is where I want to mark it. So I cut, here's our original shackle length, and we're going to go an inch longer. So, and then I'm going to take, I got 4 of these pieces all cut from the flat bar, and then I'm using fancy dancy squares and stuff to mark the center lines so that I can drill a couple of holes, and I'll end up clamping these together and drilling 2 at once so that they're exactly the same. Drill through both pieces, do that for both sides. And hopefully I do them close enough that all 4 of these end up the same. I don't think clamping 4 of them together, I don't know how well that would work. But yeah, so we're making new shackles, we're getting there through some sparks. Making use of my fancy new table that was a gift from my folks because they saw how often I was working on the ground and decided to give me a little bit of an upgrade. And so far, it's coming in quite handy.
Well,
But yeah,
okay.
so we're fixing to make some holes, and then we'll have new shackles.
Okay.
Okay, we're still going in the shop. Storms aren't looking like they're going to do anything too dicey for us tonight, but we're paying attention to it. In the meantime, I've got shackles now drilled. They're still square. So what I ended up doing is I took a pair like this, sandwiched them together on the table, and then I was making sure you could see it. And then I used table clamps to clamp them down together so that the 2 pieces got drilled in alignment. So that's how we got the holes, make sure the hole spacing is exactly the same between the pieces. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the 2, bolt them together like that, basically sandwich them, wrench them tight, clamp them in the vise, and use my grinder to take the corners off and round them a little bit so that we end up with something that looks kind of like this. I don't think I'm going to narrow the center section, at least not at first, maybe sometime in the future. But this is the dirty way of, you know, making shackles from flat bar, just using a grinder and a drill. So if I had fancier tools, if I had a mill or something like that, I probably would have milled them, but I don't have that sort of stuff. So maybe someday when I grow up. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you a quick update on where I'm at with that, and let you know that we're still here. I mean, although our sunny skies are gone, step outside, and we've got this weird, gloomy, lightly windy, hot and muggy conditions going on out here, which is prime storm conditions. It can definitely develop some storm, and the storm watch, which that guy right up there, they're already tracking storms where they've got chunks of hail falling today that well, they're bigger. They were bigger than this in a guy's hand. They were like the size of a softball. So there's some gnarly hail going on around Oklahoma right now. Anyway, I'm gonna finish cleaning up these shackles so that we can put them into the car and see what our leaf springs do. Hopefully it'll give us a little more travel, and maybe it'll be all we need. So we'll see. Victory. Well, almost. I haven't tried them on the car yet. So one thing that I overlooked when I was preparing to do the shackles was that the little dog bone that I took off has a 3/8 hole, and I even went and got new 3/8 hardware specifically to use with the shackles based on what was in the little dog bone. But the shackles that are with the kit are 3/8 here, 1/2 inch on the rest of it, which means that hardware I got is useless. So the fix for that is fairly simple. I need my thumpy stick. We're just gonna knock these are knurled studs in here, which I wish they were bolts, but they're knurled studs. So we're just gonna knock these out. Like that. And I went back and re-drilled one side of my shackle for each side. There's one, there's the other. To fit these knurled studs. And then we just, they're not a great fit because my drill bit was kind of sloppy, but they will work for now. I'm probably going to end up remaking these once I know that the fit's good, because I'll finish them out and make them actually look nice. But that gives me my replacement temporary shackle. So then we'll take that and we'll, and that one doesn't hold at all. That one worked out much better. But this guy will then go in here, which is going to lower the axle a little bit. Ooh, too much. There we go. And then put this side on. Almost. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's right. Thought that bolt didn't look like it was quite all the way there. Yeah, that's better. And then throw the nuts on. Yeah, all right. And since I'm using this hardware that came with the original shackles, and my new plates to replace the original ones are actually the same thickness, 3/16. I should be able to just cinch these up and everything basically be positioned the same as it was as far as bolt depth and loads on the bushing. Should be just right. So, now I'm just going to get the other side put on, and then we can jack it up, put the wheels back on, and find out if this is going to work.
Fingers crossed.
Do you think it's going to work?
Fingers crossed.
Do you have no faith in me? You're supposed to say, of course it's going to work.
Of course, honey. It's gonna work perfectly.
That wasn't sarcastic at all.
Mm-hmm.
Spindles are fixed, put together properly, and the shackles on both sides have been extended. We got a little bit longer, inch longer shackles. So now we're going to put the weight on it, and this really isn't much weight because, again, it's just the car. Try and do it slow. Holy cow, I put that on there tight. Hold on. I need two hands because apparently I cranked the jack tight. There we go. All right. What was I saying? So before, the springs were bottoming out on with just the weight of the front clip with nothing else on it. But I think we have solved that problem. Let's move a couple things. Yeah, it looks like we might be ready to set the motor weight on there. Maybe. I don't know. It's not bottomed out. Here, let's set this right here, and I'm gonna bounce on it a little bit. We'll see what that spring does. Yeah, right. Don't break your neck. Well, it's stiff, but I would expect it to be stiff with no weight on it, but we're not bottomed out. So that's good. You can see we got a little bit of an angle to the rear so that it doesn't want to come over center. That's good. You don't want it to come over center and come to the front. That can cause a whole lot of problems. And we'll have to, at full droop, it wasn't wanting to come forward either. So we should be good there. It's something I'll have to keep an eye on. But we're also got plenty of room right here for the leaf spring to actually travel as it compresses. So I think with that, I'll get the motor mounts put on the block, and we'll see about setting the motor in here and see what that does. Yeah, I think that's what the plan's gonna be. Yeah, all right, let's get to it.
So as it would turn out, stupid was all over this day in the shop. It wasn't until I started doing the editing for this video that I found out I never took the camera out of time-lapse mode. Go figure. Do I have any idea what I was talking about? To be honest, nope. Boing boing, yep, springs still work. Still a bit stiff with the motor in though. We'll see how that works out. Here's the gist of what I think Pascal was talking about here. Shackles seem good, something about changing the bolts, yada yada. Something about the back tire. But hey, driveline's in now, so that's cool. Oh, let's look at the back tire some more. I don't know why. But there's lug nuts. You see that? I got lug nuts. Anyway, wow, did you see that? I made an ATF mess too in that time lapse. Pretty great. Anyway, I bagged it. It's all good. Let's just wrap this up, alright? You just can't fix stupid. You really can't. Pay attention to what you're doing. Or do it twice, 3 times, 4 times. You know, that's just how it goes some days.